Hi and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. This time we're gonna do a really cool sea trout pattern. As you can see, it got everything. I mean, fluorescent orange in the front, the tan, gray, heron, spay hackle in a tapered, tapered body, and it got this olive. I mean, it's so cool. And this fly is one of those flies that you guys been tipsing me. You've sent me an email to this address and said, Eivind, look at this fly. Can you do a tutorial? And this is from a tip from Stian Nadim Finkenhagen. Here's his picture from the email. And he said, Eivind, you really need to do a tutorial on this fly because everyone is catching fish on it. Everyone is asking for a fly tying tutorial, and everyone is, please do a tutorial on this fly. Here's a picture from his Instagram account. And I was like, yeah, of course, I can do a tutorial on this fly. So this fly is actually tied by Snorre Leret Pettersen. Here's a picture from his email he sent me. And he told me that he's been catching a lot of fish on this fly, and people are, asking him, please, can you do a tutorial? So he was glad that I'm gonna do a tutorial for him on this fly. And here's a picture from his Instagram account. It looks pretty simple, but it's a couple of things with this fly that's really important to do. So we're gonna go through it step by step. And the name of the fly is actually, it's named by a Danish guy. It's Snorre's friend, fishing buddy. His name is Peter. He's given the name for the fly. So yeah, okay. As always, you will find a link to skip the intro, and you will find a link to all the materials for this fly, a complete list and link to my sponsor, Nordisk Fiskeutstyr. They have the sponsor with me with the materials for this fly. And also, I reopened my Patreon page. I've gotten so many messages from you guys Eivind, could you please open up the Patreon page again? I don't want to be a YouTube member. I want to go back to the Patreon. So now I have both options. So I'll leave a link to the Patreon, and if you want to become a member. So thank you so much. Yeah, should we look at the materials? For this fly, we're going to use hook Gamakatsu F314 and a size 6. This is a pretty small fly. So we're going to use that hook. And for the hackle, we're going to use whiting. This is a spay hackle. This is a heron gray. I think he used a light tan, but I only got heron gray. So if you have the spay hackle, you're lucky, because these capes are not easy to find. So yeah, we're going to use a long one and a short one for the body, and long one for the tail. And also we're going to use some crystal flash pearl, not UV pearl, crystal flash pearl. Okay, a couple of strands in the tail, and we're going to use for the body. He uses Eivind Peacock, and he uses SLF saltwater dubbing in a Smokey olive. If you can, this is the 289 Smokey olive from Wopsy. If you can't find this color combo, my sponsor, Nordisk Fiskeutstyr, they have their own brand called HYME. This is a Scud shrimp dubbing in an olive UVR. Look at this, man. They have come out with a lot of different types of dubbing. I'm going to show you after a while. I'm going to show you all the cool dubbings they are making. Okay, so you can use this one, or if you don't have that one, you could use Eivind olive brown. Okay. So we're going to mix those up 50-50. And for the head, the dubbing in the front, we're going to use Ice Dub UV Hot Orange. The same dubbing as you use in Magneten, you know. And we're going to mix that up with fluorescent orange seal's fur. He uses seal's fur. I use Vicuna dubbing, you know. Yeah, the fluorescent orange, the Vicuna is... So 50-50 mix there. I'm going to use just a white 6/0 unithread or from semperfli or Binecci. Yeah, you can use whatever you want. We're going to use medium bead chain eyes. And I'm going to pimp this fly a little bit in the front. I'm going to use Glow Bright fluorescent floss in orange. This really pops on the fly. Yeah, I think that's it. And some varnish. Yeah, should we tie the fly? Oh, and also we're going to use some rib. And I use some mono from the same mono I use for tying jiggy. This is just a mono thread in fine to use as a rib. I really like to rib the fly so the hackle, you know, yeah. Okay, let's start. So here you can see the fly. Can you see the body hackle is a little bit shorter than the tail? That's really important because then when you wet this fly, it's going to get this really nice tapered tail. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have this fly in my box. Believe you me. Oh yes. So put in a hook. I'm going to have my scissor in my hand. I'm going to start all the way in the front because when you have a dubbing body, it's quite important to have a nice thread base for your fly. Stop by the hook, by the barb. I'm going to tie in the tail. And I like to pick out two of the longest one. These are the longest feathers in my cape, on my cape. And when I pick out, you can hackle it in if you want, but I just go like this. Pick out the fibers and don't overdo it. I can, from these two feathers, I get 3 flies. So grab the side like that, can you see? And pull it off. Like that, and we're going to taper it, meaning pull out some of the middle ones, roll it around. Can you see? It tapers out the tail. That's really important. And the length of the tail is 1.5 times the length of the hook shank. So 1 is there, 1.5 is about there. You could do as long tail as you want to do. Between 1.5 and 2 times the length of the hook. Okay, so I'm thinking about there. Take 2 turns and then thumb on the top and finger underneath, slack the thread and roll it around. This will divide the fibers around the hook like that. Tie it in. Oh yeah. A really thin tail, can you see that? Really nice and thin tail, that's important. Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Tie in the butts and then I'm going to tie in the crystal flash pearl. I have 1 strand, fold it in 2 and we're going to have 1 on each side. 1 towards me and 1 to the far side of the fly, like that. Snipping off a little bit shorter than the tail, like that. Ooh, this is so cool. Really, really cool. Looking good. And now at this point we're going to tie in the rib, the mono rib. All the way back, forwards again, snip off a piece. I like a long, nice and long rib. Fold it over so it doesn't pull out. I'm going to tie in the bead chain eyes. And now it's so important that you make room for the head. It's really important. About there. And I've brushed, can you see, I've taken some sandpaper on my eyes. Can you see the width of one eye is the perfect place for tying in the bead chain eyes. So about there, a couple of cross turns. And before if you're going to use super glue, don't fill it up with thread and then put on some super glue, because the super glue won't, you know, go all the way through to the hook. So just take a couple of loose turns, then put on your super glue. So the super glue is contact with the B.Ø.R hook, you know, and then you can tie in a bunch of wraps like that, and go underneath, under, pull it, and then you're good to go. I'm going to tie in the body. Oh, this is so cool, this fly, man. Look. Really nice, really nice. Okay, so we're going to mix the body. I'm going to use this one from HYME. And it's just a 50-50 mix. Pinch out some olive and pinch out some ice tub Peacock and mix it between your fingers, just like that. And the ice dub is actually gonna make this dubbing a little bit easier to dub, but it's also gonna give this amazing color, yeah, when the fly is wet. So we're gonna dub our body, and this is important because we're gonna brush this fly, so we need to make a really thin dubbing noodle, because when you're gonna brush a fly, if it's very loose, it's just gonna go, you know, apart. So make sure you're gonna make a thin dubbing noodle. I'll show you down here, look. Start in the front, a thin dubbing noodle. Can you see? Thin. Go back. I'm going to use my finger to compact the dubbing. Like that. And go forwards again. Thin dubbing noodle. Because then the thread has gone, you know, chung, and locked down the dubbing. So you can really brush it up. Okay? Really important. Pull it and twist. I'm pulling it because then I'm thinning out the dubbing noodle, you know? Yeah. Looking good, looking good. Like that. That looks good. So now we're gonna tie in our body hackle. And as you can see, this is a much shorter one, okay? Use one of the shorter one. So I'm gonna tie it in on the thick side of the hackle. And I like to tie it in the top. Move your thread in the front, lock it down, snip it off. Go back again. And now I'm going to use my rotary vise, okay? So I'm going to leave my thread in the front, do a half hitch. Boom. Like that. I'm going to pinch the hackle tip. Be careful so you don't break it. And I'm just going to hackle the body. Brum brum. Don't stall, just move. This is a crucial point. And hard, you know, this is quite hard, but just keep calm and press with your thumb. Bring up your ribbing. Lock it down. Hold it, you know, in an angle forwards and start your rotary vise. Hold it at an angle. Don't mind any of the hackle fibers. You're gonna brush them out. Go on the top, pinch it with your thumb, take your thread and tie down your rib. Fold it back and snip it off. Can you see? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then I'm gonna snip off the hackle tip. We don't want that one. Like that. And now we're gonna brush it on all sides. I just use this Velcro. Can you see the spars fly? I mean, it's really important that you don't overdo it with any of the materials. Can you see the nice tapered body as well? Yeah. So we're going to tie in a dubbing loop. I like to make a loop that's the same length as my bobbin. And again, I'm going to use my rotary vise. Make a half hitch. I'm going to mix up the front dubbing. Ice dub UV hot orange. Pinch out a bunch. And I'm going to use the Vicuna fluorescent orange. Where are you? There you are. A really nice color. Pinch out. So you're going to mix up 50-50. 50-50. Like that. Mix it between your fingers. This is something you have to practice. It's really not that hard. Mixing dubbing. And there you go. There you got this really nice hot orange color. So I'm gonna show you a cool little trick. It's a little bit too much, I think. But this much. And I'm gonna use two fingers and my thumb, and I'm gonna pull them apart like that. Now there are two bunches, and I'm going to pull these two apart again. Now I have four. I'm going to put this on my hand like that, on my four fingers. And then grab the whole bunch. Can you see? Yeah, and then grab it like that. Then you kind of have the perfect size for the dubbing loop. Yeah, can you see? Okay. In the dubbing loop you go. And again, it's so important to make a thin dubbing noodle. Please, please don't make the dubbing noodle too thick. It's better to do 2 extra turns than have a too thick dubbing noodle. So there we go. Gotta make sure we don't catch every speckle, twist it. There are a couple of elements in this fly that's a little bit hard, but you know, it's winter time. Perfect time to tie flies. Okay, brush it. Like that. And then I'm going to use my rotary vise again. Take a couple of turns in the back. I like to start by crossing underneath, then cross over in the top, and do a half turn. Don't cross in on the bottom again. Go past and then cross over on the top. You're making an X, and then underneath again. And then when you come up, I'm going to try to show you this. I'm going around the eye, back again, around that eye. And then I like to cross and do a turn in the front. Yeah, it's the way I do it. I mean, the head gets nice and thick. Yeah, it feels up real nice. As you can see, I have too much dubbing, so I'm gonna twist it up a little bit. I'm just gonna pull out what I don't need. That's why it's so important to have the space in the front. It's so important. And there we go. The fly is soon done. This fly is a little bit hard to do, but I think since it's winter time, it's a perfect time to learn new patterns. Couple of turns, boom, 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 snip, snip, snip. Then brush before you tie on your floss, because the floss doesn't, you know, don't brush after, because the floss is you're gonna damage the thread. Oh, and I'm gonna use a lighter to remove the thing in the front, and also to shape the head a little bit. Oh man, this fly is so cool. I love it, Snorre. Og Stian. Thanks for the tip. So we're gonna finish off with some Glow Bright floss. This really pops, makes the fly look amazing. Floss, 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 bloom, 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 bloom. Nice fluorescent orange head. Bim bada boom, I finished the fly off with a whip finish. Oh man. Oh man. Ooh. And some varnish, and we're done. We're done with this fly. Yes, 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 that's it, that's it. So, that's the fly. Thank you so much, Stian, for the tip, and thank you, Snorre, for helping me with the, you know, with the material list and everything. Yeah, and as always, you can find the material list down below. You find links to every, you know, dubbing and ice dub and everything, and also a link to my sponsor, Nordisk Fiskeutstyr. They provide me with the materials for this fly, so thank you guys in there. Very nice. And also I have a link to my Patreon page. I reopened my Patreon page, so you can become a supporter if you want. Yeah, okay, that's it. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.